Ahmedabad. 52 crore is what they've got in their balance purse. Hardik Pandya will lead. That's a big one, isn't it? Hardik Pandya, the IPL captain now. Rashid Khan, dramatic non-retention for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. And there he goes now to, for the first time, wear a different color in the IPL. Shubman Gill is there as well. And GS making the point earlier that perhaps KKR could have invested more in trying to keep Shubman Gill in. Ahmedabad seem to have picked him up for decent begging. So that's what we've got. Let's go to Aakash first up. Hardik Pandya, the captain. This should be fun.
Yes, interesting choice, of course. But then, see, he's worth 15 crore. There's no doubt about it. Also, if you're looking at Hardik Pandya, the skills that he brings to the table, even if he's not bowling, he's a very unique player. So much so that Team India is looking for his replacement for the last 3 years, and they're struggling to find. They've tried plenty of people, but nobody has the kind of hitting power that he has. He enjoys, and he can give you overs eventually. See, you hope that he does. So there must have been a thought that, okay, Hardik Pandya or Shubman Gill, can we actually groom a youngster, absolutely green horn, and then just throw him into the deep end? Went to Hardik. That's okay. It's a tricky decision, but it's not that bad a decision. I think the steal is Rashid. And it baffles me that Lucknow could not convince him for 15, or Hyderabad didn't want to retain him for 15. And Ahmedabad just managed to this is like a daylight heist that, okay, you've got Rashid for 15, you've got Pandya for 15, you've got 8 for Shubman Gill. I thought they've done very well. To be fair, they've got a middle order Indian, an opener Indian, a middle order Indian who's an all-rounder, and then got a gun player who'll give you a 4-over bang and can tong the ball. Rashid Khan is still a mystery, right? So they've started on the right note. They've got some decent brains. I rate Ashish Nehra's brains quite a bit when it comes to just making the right selections. So I'm pretty confident that he'll do all right there.
Very well. Let me at this point go to Dan Vittori, shall I? Because it's got an RCB flavor to it. Certainly the flavor that RCB went for after Dan, Ashish Nehra and Gary Kirsten at the dugout in Ahmedabad, along with the Vikram Solanki. So what can we read from there, Dan? What sort of approach do you think they'll take?
Well, I think I agree with Aakash. I think they have the best retained players. I think if Hardik Pandya is the player that's the all-round player and captain, with Rashid Khan and Shubman Gill at that price point, I think that's probably the best starting point for a franchise out of all the 10 teams. I mean, Rashid Khan and Hardik Pandya at their best, arguably the two best players in the IPL. So I think it's a fantastic starting point, and Shubman Gill gives that nice little bit of balance to it all. So they should be very content around where their starting point is. But it's 3 players, so they have a lot of work to do to build that squad, to build a team, and it'll be fascinating to see where they go. And it'll be fascinating to see how much influence someone like Hardik Pandya has around team selection, if he's that sort of captain who his first time round wants to get involved, wants to influence some of those selections, or he's happy for a staff and to take that on. So, yeah, they'll be one to watch at the auction to see what direction they take to complement these 3 magnificent players.
Yes, Ahmedabad.
So I've been I think even in my piece, I wrote the same thing. You can't win tournaments just with Rashid Khan. And one thing I want Ahmedabad to do, or I think the only way for them to kind of really make these 3 retentions a success, is to invest heavily in a great bowling unit. It's a batter's game. We saw even Rashid Khan, the PSL, he has a gun bowling attack and still they're struggling. He has Shaheen Shah, Afridi and Haris Rauf and still they're struggling. So people just play out Rashid and talk the other 16 overs for even 200. That's the way things are going now. So Ahmedabad have to invest on all the possible great bowlers which are available in this auction. Just make sure it could be a very, very pretty low scoring in terms of batting, but their bowling should come through every time. I think that's the strategy I would vouch for Ahmedabad. Don't go behind the batters. Get all the best bowlers in your kitty. Support Rashid Khan as much as possible. Like pick a Rabada if you can. Pick another Indian. Pick Deepak Chahar. Get Chahal also if you want. Give a supporting spinner for Rashid Khan, and then maybe go for some low key batters and try to win games. Ahmedabad is a big ground, so you can maybe have these 140 kind of totals also be defended, right? Remember Sunrisers of 2015 to 17, I think that was the kind of strategy they had. So I would want Ahmedabad. I see that if you want to support Rashid, but if you go and pick a lot of batsmen and then don't get the bowlers, then it may not end up very successful.
Rashid, the reason he did not stay back at Sunrisers, and the reason he did not go to Lucknow is he wanted to be the number 1 pick. He wanted to be the number one pick. Neither of the franchises agreed because they had already zeroed in on KW and KL. So Rashid then went to Ahmedabad, where he was okay with being at par in terms of pricing with Hardik, and Hardik was okay getting the captaincy. So they brokered a nice deal. They got two of the best players in white ball cricket, and that's half the job done. So now the challenge is finding a couple of mature people who can control someone like Hardik. And Nehra is a very, very animated. Aakash will know him better than all of us because he's played with him and etc. And Ashish is like someone who is deeply invested, gets excited and all that, doesn't believe too much, openly says, doesn't believe too much in data. So they need, maybe this is a franchise where a guy like a Warner and a guy like Owen Morgan, I feel these two guys can easily fit into Ahmedabad. And at least one of them, because they need someone senior of that kind of a role to kind of guide Hardik. Because Hardik has been guided in the last 5, he's taken advice from 2 people. One is MS and one is Karan Pollard. He believes Pollard, these are the 2 guys who have influenced a lot of Hardik's career in the past 6 years or something. And another guy we're missing is Krunal, his brother. He's always had that protective hand around Hardik to whenever there have been difficulties. So Hardik is now on his own, but his biggest asset is his belief.